care a bit less about your work, especially if you're working in a large corporation or a big business, big company where there are multiple departments, multiple decision makers on any one given task. And if you are somebody who is on the upper end of the intelligence spectrum and you are concerned with the truth and the best outcome and so on, you are probably caring a bit more than you should about what is the right answer rather than what is the together answer. Now, I say that because I've mentored and counseled many people, and I see that on the higher end of the intelligence spectrum, there's a frustration in large companies that people don't get it. And I've spoken about this a little bit in other videos, but the advice that I typically give, and this is because I've lived it, I've tried many of the different ways. I've worked in, working for changing organizations and motivation and designing performance reviews and so on. My advice is to care less about that perfect result and fairness and things that are self-evident, things that you value. It's a terrible thing to say, but if you think about it, you've put yourself voluntarily, by getting into a large company, you've put yourself into an authoritarian regime voluntarily. It is a bit of a fiefdom all around, like serfdom, or a dictatorship where orders come from the top down and everybody is basically paid to say yes sir or yes ma'am. And you need to recognize that your part in this whole machine is very small. It doesn't matter if you don't show up to work tomorrow and you work in a large company. Nobody really cares. Nobody really cares, and that's by design. It's by design that we have this redundancy, that you are a cog in a huge machine that you have very little influence over it. No, I'm not talking if you're super ambitious and you want to get into the C-suite and all of that. Okay, this still works. But if you're going to work and you're getting frustrated and you are intelligent and you are looking around at all the dummies around that are not making the right decision, that is by design. There's an old expression that a single person can go very fast, but together we can go very far. And that holds true in companies. I hate to use some sort of slogan or something like that. But that is the whole design of a corporation. It's not about getting to the optimal answer. It's getting to an answer that the whole group agrees on. And this can be outrageously frustrating if you're looking for the right answer. So this is one of the reasons hyper-intelligent people really struggle in large corporations, unless they're, at the very top. And that, to get there, you have to be pretty ruthless. You have to go through this series of turning off this, the sense of fairness, turning off a sense of getting to the right answer, turning off this idea of like you are really making a difference, and just focus on being that incredible cog and making connections. So why do I say making connections? Because nobody gets promoted based on their productivity, okay? Nobody gets promoted because they come to the right answers. No, everybody, and I mean everybody, gets promoted because somebody says, let's promote Joe. That's it. That's it. It's either that somebody is either an individual who has that power or a group that has that power, if it's a promotion committee or something. So the whole game is to get them to say yes, if you're looking for promotion. But even that is a farce. So that is a carrot in front of your face that typically it's not always worth it to run for. Now, sometimes it is, but typically people who skip jobs every 2 years and move to another company make more money than people that stay in the same company for long term. It's not always true, but in the vast majority of cases it is. So 2 years, you should be looking, especially if you're in early to mid-career. 2 years, you should be looking to be at that company. That's it. And then be out of there for the next job. Why is that? Because all the next job cares about is you were in that position. That's it. They don't care how productive you were. They don't care how efficient you were. They don't care if you got to the right answer or anything like that. They don't. All they care about is they say, "Oh, wow, you were a senior engineer at Raytheon. Well, okay, now at Lockheed Martin, you're going to be a senior engineer, or you're going to be a manager or something like that." That's all they care about. So you skip into the higher position in a different company. Companies internally don't like to promote their own people. And if you open your eyes to this, you'll see this. They talk so much about how promotion and performance reviews, and I've seen this all over the place. But really, it's a pain in the butt to promote somebody in the same group to then lead the people that used to be his peers. It's a real pain for the company, because the people that were there resent this one person that got up and, "Oh, I know Jim's not he's not the most productive. He's not the best engineer. He's got to, why is he the team lead?" and all of that. So they tend not to do it. Now, if the company's big enough, you can get promoted into another group, but there's all kinds of internal policies to prevent that from happening, typically in larger corporations. Why is that? Same kind of reason. Like, people will see you do a skip into another group, and they're like, "Wow, I'm going to do that." And then they try and skip into another group, and all of a sudden it becomes this internal competition where people just stay in a role and then leave the group for another group. They don't want that. They want you to stick in your little role in this authoritarian regime that you put yourself in voluntarily. If you don't like it, move. But that's where you're at. So you are tasked with doing some process, some part of this larger machine. Okay? So what's the optimal strategy there? Do that part. Typically, that part, especially if you're intelligent, is not that difficult. And what I see a lot of intelligent people do is, and ambitious people, is they go into other places and they say, "Hey, I'm going to fix that. Hey, I'd like to do that." How do I know? I used to do this, for sure. And because you say, like, "Wow, that's not optimal. That's not optimal." It's not supposed to be optimal. That's the whole point. It's supposed to be just something that keeps the gears running. So they go into this other place and say, "Wow, I can fix this in the finance department." The finance department doesn't want you there. They have their own career. They're doing their little part. They don't want to get the optimal solution, even if they say 1,000 times to Sunday that they want this. They don't. So you're brought into a role. Do that role. That role is not that difficult. Right? Most of the studies show that the average person gets about 2 to 4 hours of productive work a day. That's it. And the rest, so you can use that data for your advantage. You can use that data to know that 2 to 4 hours of your work is probably all you're going to get that's productive. Okay, that gives you an awful lot of time to do other stuff. Right? Make connections with those people that are going to say yes to a promotion or not, because internal promotions are much more difficult than external. And it depends a bit on the job market, but typically that holds over decades, right? Especially in today's job market. So it doesn't do you any good to fight for some promotion or some great performance review. Typically, that's usually nepotism that gets you there. It's usually it's always somebody that says, "I want Joe stepping up and being manager. I'm going to give Joe a good, a fat pay raise because I think that she deserves it or he deserves it." right? So that's it, right? You can stress out about getting that good performance review, but the performance review is designed. It is designed to be just a little bit out of reach. So you're always reaching it like a dumb donkey going after a carrot that's sticking in front of his head. And it's always designed so that you can never really get it. Now, lots of people do, right? Of course, promotions happen. Lottery winners happen. That's the point is, even though some people make it up, they make it up through the ranks because somebody says, I want this person to be promoted. So keep that in mind. And if you're looking for other work and all that, okay, but be very careful about that. You are not hired to look for other work. You're not hired to get other projects and say, oh, I can do this. This is easy. I'm going to do this other thing. Nobody wants that. And they say they do. They say they want go-getters, and so they really don't. They really don't. When it comes down to it, there are other managers in these other teams that think they're doing a great job. And oh my God, so many people think they're doing a great job, and they're not. And if you can see it, it's annoying. My advice is to care less. Care less about the perfect or even the good solution, and just go with the mediocre solution. If you can't do this, find something else to do, because you're going to be constantly frustrated. You're going to be constantly banging up against the weight of that organization, and it is a totalitarian regime. We voluntarily put ourselves into this position because there are not that many alternatives. And there are not that many alternatives that we've actually seen that work. But, capitalism, that is what we do now. So it's annoying. It's not fun. But if you care a bit less, your stress level goes down. And you can spend that time looking for the next job that you're going to do. What I do find is in smaller companies, startups and scale-ups and things like that, they are more concerned about finding the right optimal solution. They're more concerned about, they're more willing to have somebody come in and wear a number of hats and jump in and fix this and that. But they usually don't pay as well. And statistically, you make less money working in a startup through your career than you would in a large corporation. Large corporations just have money to spend. So they spend it on their employees, on the resources, the human resources that they have. It's kind of like cattle. But the startup will give you more intellectual satisfaction, but it probably will not give you, statistically speaking, will not give you the monetary rewards that a large corporation will give you. So it's a trade-off. You can start your own company and then you start your own authoritarian regime and you're at the top. That's possible. But if you have VCs, you're not at the top, they're at the top. So it is a funny situation. And the people that I see that rise to the ranks, right, and tend to be, a bit smarter than average, but the ones that I see that actually rise to the ranks, they care less. They focus on what the company wants them to do in that cog role, and they just optimize that. That's it. And if you can optimize that and do well that and make your manager look good, things go better for you. Things go well. And they make friends. They make friends because most jobs are found by networking. They're not found on LinkedIn. They're not found on, on Monster, if that's still a thing, or Dice or whatever. They're found because a friend is like, hey, would you like to, I know this company that's looking for these type of people, and would you like to do that? That's how most jobs are found, especially in white collar. So you are better off being at the water cooler. That's not a thing anymore, but that is to talk with other colleagues, get to know them, get people to like you, and maximize that cog part. Don't go for other projects unless you really know that this is going to be self-serving. And just shut off this idea of fairness, of equity, that meritocracy. Oh, it is such doublespeak that companies put you through to say like, oh, we're a meritocracy, and yet they cannot. There's not a company that I've found that's able to adequately measure productivity. Never seen them. And I've done consulting dozens and dozens of companies. I've worked in a number of large and small corporations. At all. It's always about somebody's opinion of you. So the people that I see that actually rise to the ranks, myself included, it's just about making friends. Optimizing that one little cog, which is by design pretty easy. If you're intelligent, if you're competent, it is pretty easy to optimize that. And it gets super boring. So actually, if you're very smart, after a year or two of optimizing that, you're bored anyway. If you're not, then maybe that's the position of incompetence for you. That's the place where you should be. The Peter principle, I think. You get promoted to the point of your incompetence, which I kind of believe, kind of don't. But yeah, that is the optimal strategy. Put that aside. Put it aside to get promoted, to get the good perf, and do those 2 to 4 hours a day that it takes you to do that cog work. Emails, right? Don't let the urgent go over the important. Most emails don't matter in most corporations. It's absurd. Depends on the company, but typically there's only a very small amount of the work that actually matters. Really. The rest is kind of fluff to make people look good. So care a bit less. Your stress levels will go down. Things will go a bit smoother for you. You might not have this idea, this imaginary idea that you're going to get promoted. Put that aside. It's in your imagination. Now, you can fight all you want for this. Up to you. I've done all kinds of strategies within companies, and I've mentored people that are doing different strategies. Honestly, that whole performance review and stuff, there is a whole formula for them to bring people up, and they're not so inclined to do it. They're not inclined to give everybody a great performance review. There's a bell curve that they want things to go on, and it's not about merit. It's not about your productivity in that company. It's about somebody saying, yes, this person is the top 5%, and that person typically doesn't want to be threatened by you, right? That person does not want to see you as a threat. The other thing is I see that some people get into fights internally to try and get the best solution. This is a terrible, terrible strategy. I'm not talking fist fights. I'm talking about coming up against some other group that's doing a really bad job. This is never a good strategy. You will get yourself fired before anything. And everybody will look at you as the bad person, especially if this has been tolerated for some period of time. The company doesn't care. If they did, they would have gotten rid of it. It's an organism. The corporation's an organism. If there's some foreign body that's causing trouble, then it will expel that foreign body. Don't be that foreign body until your 2 years are up, and then go look for another job, get to another position, and then move on from there. Okay, so I'm sure I'm going to hear comments of like, oh, you're just bitter because you didn't do this. No, I'm not bitter at all. I've had a wonderful career, and I've been promoted. I've switched jobs. I've done startup. The whole thing, everything I wanted to do in a career. So this is just my advice, is that that I have. I'm talking to many mentorees and other counseling things that I do, and it helps a lot. So I hope this helps you. And if you want to like and subscribe, this is the kind of thing we talk about here. And I am hoping that you are having a wonderful time. I hope that you have a job that you really love and that it's low stress and you're really enjoying it. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.